Yo, Julius, it's your girl Raven Chapman, the Omen. Just want to give you a big shout out here from the UK. Ring IQ, you're the man. Thanks so much for your support.
Welcome to the motherfucking relay. We're covering today's top boxing news. Ow!
Okay, we'll start with this. We have the gory details in association with Floyd Mayweather's next exhibition match, the second exhibition match he'll be a part of this year against Japan's own Asakura.
Going down in September with the location and rules to come.
I will say, this exhibition match, unlike his last one, feels less mom and pop and more chong and walk.
Whoa.
The newly Hall of Fame enshrined former 5-division champion and pound-for-pound king has confirmed his next exhibition fight, which will come against mixed martial artist Mikuru Asakura.
The event will take place as part of a Risen Fighting Federation show this September in Japan.
On Risen Fight Pass, as confirmed during a press conference held Monday evening in Las Vegas. That's last Monday.
Not this one.
Very happy to be sitting between these two athletes for this event, which will be Floyd Mayweather's second with Risen.
Said Nobuyuki Sakakibara.
The CEO of Risen stated during the announcement presser at M Resort Spa and Casino in Las Vegas, Floyd Mayweather was supposed to fight in an exhibition in Japan earlier in the year with an organization called Mega. However, due to the pandemic, it has been postponed, and Risen has taken over the contract for Floyd Mayweather's next fight in Japan. So they're back together.
And this promotion does feel like a more legitimate promotion.
At least more legitimate than Floyd's last exhibition match, where he sparred his old sparring partner. The event, which will mark the second exhibition bout of the year for Mayweather and fourth overall since retiring from boxing in 2017 with a perfect record of 50 wins, no losses, and 27 knockouts, world titles at 130, 135, 140, 147, and 154 pounds. His incredible body of work was honored over the last weekend, where Mayweather was inducted into the Hall of Fame during a 3-class ceremony. Barely a day later, it's on to the next adventure.
I don't know what, if anything, Floyd made from that exhibition match with Don Moore, but this looks like a more serious promotion.
I got to where I got to by working extremely hard, Mayweather noted. I'm always focused. I'm always pushing to be the best. It's still a great feeling to travel the world, do these exhibition fights, and entertain people from all walks of life. I've seen every style. My job is to go in there, have fun, and be at my best. Well, Mayweather drove home the point.
The point of having fun.
And providing entertainment, his opponent took a more serious and brief approach. I'm an MMA fighter, but I'm going to use this opportunity, and I'm going to use him to raise my name and my value internationally, noted Asakura. I will win this fight.
What fight? It's an exhibition match.
Somebody better tell Ivan Drago before somebody gets hurt. Tokyo's Asakura is a noted star in his homeland, both as a former 2-division rings, Fighting Network rings, champion, and since joining Risen in 2018, a 10-year pro campaigns at 145 pounds and will enjoy a slight natural size advantage over Mayweather, unlike the American legend's Risen debut when he demolished undersized 126-pounder Tenshin Nasukawa inside of a round during the 2018 New Year's Eve Risen 33 event in Saitama, Japan. The fight with Nasukawa was the first of 3 exhibitions enjoyed by Mayweather so far since his August 2017 10th round knockout of Conor McGregor. In what was his final sanctioned pro fight, Mayweather has since faced Logan Paul in June of 2021, a Showtime pay-per-view headliner that generated a reported million pay-per-view buys, and I do take that number with a grain of salt.
And the former sparring partner and dangerous Don Moore, May 21st in Abu Dhabi.
All 3 were taken with the intention of enjoying life after boxing, which is the same mindset that the 45-year-old will carry into this event. September, we're going to have fun and entertain people, insisted Mayweather. I'm Floyd Mayweather to him. He's just another opponent to me. And
after having retired, Floyd Mayweather at 45 years old keeps a more busy schedule than some active boxers.
Frequency, regularity of these exhibition bouts post-retirement has given rise to the notion that Floyd Mayweather
burnt through all the cash he made, or somehow it got lost, and now he's scratching and sniffing.
Whether or not you yourself out there agree with that notion, believe it or not, there are people that do. There are people that feel the amount of exhibition matches Floyd has been having, the frequency of these endeavors, it accents something. It's almost as if he's doing it from a need as opposed to a want. It seems important to Floyd to communicate that he's just getting out there and he's having fun. But did that look like fun out there with Logan Paul?
What's your idea of a good time?
Perhaps not, but when the check clears, that's when the good time begins. That's when the good time starts. The proverbial check is everything's digital now.
Truth is, speculations aside, there's actually nothing wrong with what Floyd is doing.
We can think whatever we want to think about it. That the guy's fighting to stay afloat at this point. Maybe he isn't. Maybe he's just having a good time. But one way or another, there's nothing actually wrong with a rich guy wanting to stay a rich guy, or the rich just trying to get richer.
He is 45 years old.
Looks like he will continue to do this until, I don't know, something embarrassing happens.
Mikuru Asakura guy's got some size on Floyd.
Sounds ambitious. This being an exhibition match, it has no bearing on Floyd's actual professional record, but things can happen, things can transpire that might have an effect on people's public perceptions and in the court of public opinion.
Yeah, maybe what happens in an exhibition match don't reflect in your professional record, but it can still be embarrassing.
You give enough of these young guys, these young upstarts, an opportunity, something embarrassing can happen to a 45-year-old aging fighter.
It's an exhibition match, so your unbeaten record, that stays intact.
He's traveling to Japan for this fight because Mikuru Asakura, he actually has a following there. The underlying principle in many of Floyd's biggest fights. He'd fight guys that had a following.
In all of his biggest fights.
I say it all the time. Floyd Mayweather himself might have been the highest grossing boxer in the history of prize fighting, in the history of boxing, but he didn't sell those pay-per-views alone. And that underlying theme, it's prevalent in his post-fight career.
Post-retirement, as he's scheduling fights at a more frequent rate than some active boxers.
Think about it. Jamal Charlo, he hadn't even fought this year. Neither has Andy Ruiz, even though he has a fight scheduled. Better still, Floyd is keeping busy.
This will be his second exhibition match this year. It's already in the books.
Because of time zones, this thing happening in Japan, I don't get the sense that any major American broadcasters are going to have a finger in this pie.
The American market's already oversaturated with these celebrity exhibition matches full of B-listers.
Don't want to get charged to see another one, so I reiterate, I don't get the sense that either Showtime or Fox is going to be involved in this thing.
If you can't do it, you can't do it, mate. But at a later date, September, October, whenever, if you really want the fight, you can have it. But you can have it on the 6th of August, mate, but it's got to be not in America. Because all us, I'll be honest with you, at the minute are suspended. I'm banned for life. I can't get here at all. Tyson can't get over there because he's got a few issues at the moment, what he's trying to sort out. So Tommy has got no team. So listen, if you want to negotiate a different price, we'll take less money to fight you anywhere else in the world on the 6th of August.
It's Big John Fury addressing the ongoing situation between Jake Paul and what was supposed to be Tommy Fury this summer.
I thought that ship had sailed for Tommy Fury.
I really did. I thought that Jake Paul could go the rest of his illustrious boxing career having never afforded Tommy Fury another shot, another opportunity. And Jake Paul, in all his grace and benevolence and wisdom, so decided to give Tommy Fury another shot. And Tommy fumbled it again.
There's some interesting insights in association with this story.
It does appear to be confirmation that Tyson Fury is, in fact, banned from entering into the United States. And most people are making the correlation that this has something to do with his old buddy, Daniel Kinahan, and 600 names.
There's a banned list of 600 people in association with Daniel Kinahan that are not allowed to enter into the United States, Tyson Fury being one among them.
A good number of these names are rumored to be the names of professional boxers and people in the industry. You can use your imagination that fighters like Mick Conlan, maybe Josh Taylor.
Josh Taylor's not allowed to come into the country? What about his top-rank deal?
No, I'm just bouncing ideas around because Tosh Taylor's last fight wasn't in the United States anyway. He's supposed to be negotiating a deal to face his WBC mandatory challenger, Jose Zapata, and I'm going to be keeping a close eye on where that fight happens. Where does it land? Does it land here in America, or does it happen over there in the United Kingdom?
If it lands here in America, I think that's confirmation that he, unlike Tyson Fury, he isn't on the banned list.
Tyson Fury is, as is Big John Fury, although Big John Fury's been barred from entering into the United States long before the U.S. government decided to levy sanctions against Daniel Kinahan and all of his buddies, barring them from entering into the country. Big John Fury's got a criminal record.
That predates any of that Daniel Kinahan stuff. He was never going to be able to be in attendance.
Yet again, I wake up this morning to another text from my manager saying that Tommy Fury is pulling out of the fight. We agreed to all of the terms. Everything is ready to go. We're 45 days away from the fight. We agreed to his $2 million purse. We agreed to VADA testing, extra flights, extra rooms, extra tickets to the fight. We're scheduled to have a press conference next week in New York. His whole entire team was like, yeah, everything's good. We're signing the contract today. It kept on getting pushed. Till now. What's the excuse? Oh, I can't come and I can't do it because my dad can't be there with me during the fight. Well, Tommy, your dad has been banned from the United States for 15 years. You've known this the whole entire time. He's a criminal. He's not allowed in. When he fought Anthony Taylor in Cleveland, neither Tyson nor your dad were there with you in your U.S. debut. And now all of a sudden you need your team with you? That doesn't make any fucking sense. I will agree to not have my team around me during the fight week. I will agree to not fight with my coaches in my corner. We could both fight solo, dolo, just like Devin Haney was going to do against George Kambosos. This is what real boxers do. They make fights fucking happen. You're scared. You claim you're a professional boxer, but you don't want to make the fight with me, who you've talked so much shit about, who you said you will spark, who you say I'm nothing compared to you. Where's all that shit talk now, Tommy? You're a fucking atypical professional boxer who doesn't want to make this fight actually fucking happen. This is the biggest opportunity of your fucking life, and you're fumbling the fucking bag once again, and I can't believe how fucking stupid you are. Fucking idiot.
There's confirmation on both sides, both the Big John Fury side and the Jake Paul side, so there's really nothing to speculate about. Entering into the country seems to be an issue, at least for John and Tyson Fury, and because of this, the fight is held up. And the question then becomes, how could this be the reason the fight gets held up when John was never going to be able to come anyway, and Tyson's not going to fight the fight for you? What difference does it make if he's there or not?
Jake Paul is seeming more and more the consummate professional boxer, and it's Tommy that's the wannabe.
The debutante, the peacock, the guy who's really only talked about because of his namesake. If
his last name wasn't Fury, off ability alone, would anybody be talking about this guy?
Ability as a boxer, does Tommy Fury have the look of a blue chip prospect, a guy who could go all the way? You know the answer.
Big John Fury proposed that they do the fight at a different location.
I mean, yeah, you could work something out, but Showtime's footing the bill, you understand. They want to bill this as a Showtime pay-per-view, so ideally, you would do it on American soil, as it's being marketed to American consumers.
It's an unnecessary hassle, and for what? So that Tyson Fury and John can be there.
Do you imagine if they actually fought and Tommy Fury actually got knocked out by Jake Paul?
This is fast becoming a public relations nightmare for Tommy Fury.
He's a grown man, but he's letting his dad do all the talking for him. In truth, it's not necessary that Big John Fury be there. Not that he was able to anyway. It's not necessary that Tyson be there either.
If this is about his training camp, he can do his training camp in the United Kingdom and then fly out to America 2 weeks before the fight.
You sit down and you think about this, it really does feel like Tommy is looking for a way out. Now, why would he want to do that? I'll leave such judgments up to you.
But just remember, Devin Haney traveled to Australia without his father by his side. They didn't even know if he'd be able to come. He still went.
Tommy Fury can't travel to America without his big bro. The fight's off because Tyson Fury can't come?
There's something written into the contract about Tommy Fury's blankie, Tommy Fury's teddy bear.
Is there a nightlight clause incorporated into the contract? Because this is seeming rather infantile, not becoming of the Fighting Furies.
Spartans, fucking Spartans.
Bad optics for Tommy Fury. Bad optics for the whole Fury family. Finally, ahead of their trilogy, Eddie Hearn stated Canelo versus Triple G3 is 10 times a bigger fight than Spence versus Crawford. And in truth, I share that sentiment. By every quantifiable metric that makes a big fight a quote-unquote big fight, Canelo versus Triple G3 is a bigger fight. Biggest fight of the year, regardless of the potential clash between the welterweight stars. Canelo versus Triple G3 by an absolute mile. And by the way, Spence versus Crawford is a great fight for boxing, but anyone with a brain knows the answer to that question, Hearn told IFL TV. It depends on how hardcore they were. I think if you're a super hardcore fan, you've been waiting for Spence versus Crawford for a long time. But if you want to talk about media attention, if you want to talk about the gate, if you want to talk about pay-per-view numbers, viewership, global reach, commercial revenue, closed circuit, it's not even close.
Every quantifiable metric that makes a big fight a quote-unquote big fight, Canelo versus Triple G3 is the bigger fight.
And what the hell makes a big fight if not the big prices, the big media attention, the big turnout from the fans, and that fan participation? I think if you're a super hardcore fan, you've been waiting for Spence versus Crawford for a long time, so you may choose that over Canelo versus Triple G if you're a super hardcore fan. But the casual fans are the ones that are going to generate the numbers. If you talk about the revenue generated on a fight, it's like, God knows, it's like 10 times as big for Canelo versus Golovkin over Spence versus Crawford. But Spence versus Crawford is a brilliant fight, and I think it's right up there with Canelo versus Triple G, of course. Yeah, maybe in terms of quality.
In terms of quality, it's an excellent fucking fight. One of the best fights you could hope to make, but it's not bigger than the trilogy.
Former world champion Ishe Smith seems to think the opposite. He thinks Hearn has blown through so much damn money, wasted all that damn money only to watch Devin go elsewhere and become undisputed. Canelo and Triple G is not bigger than Crawford versus Spence. You have to start taking what Hearn says with a grain of salt. To which boxing insider Rick Glacier replied, "Champ, Hearn has blown huge money, but Canelo versus Triple G3 is bigger than Spence versus Crawford worldwide. Revenues will be much bigger for Canelo versus Triple G3. That's why those two guaranteed a total of 80 million, compared to likely in the neighborhood of 30 million in guarantees for Spence versus Crawford." To which Ishe Smith replied, "True, but I'm not speaking revenue, I'm just talking in general. The DAZN fiasco hasn't panned out for boxing. They don't have any superstars, honestly, besides Canelo.
Canelo's a bigger superstar than Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford combined.
So is Triple G, who he's going to be facing in September. So is Anthony Joshua, who's fighting in an $80 million fight in his very next fight. Win or lose, that's the value of the match. Numbers that Spence and Crawford can't hope to generate."
What the hell does he mean besides Canelo and AJ? Who's bigger than those guys?
Says he's not talking about revenue. He's speaking in general. In general of what?
What does that even mean?
No, a big part of the reason that Maypac was billed as such a huge fight and such a huge event is because of how much money it generated. Because generally, big fights that are called big fights because of the big purses.
He says Hearn fucked off a lot of money.
Big fucking deal. Al Heyman's been fucking off money long before Eddie Hearn. Does Waddle and Reed ring a bell?
How do you lose $434 million? That's $500 million.
You spent $434 million making Danny Garcia versus Rod Salka, Keith Thurman versus Robert Guerrero. Is that where the money went?
All of this is besides the point, because Canelo versus Triple G3 is still a bigger fight than Crawford versus Spence.
Regardless of who fucked off whose money and how much of it they fucked off, one fight is still significantly bigger than the other, and it's not even close. Why are people struggling with this?